Here's your test. And let's go ahead and take a look back at the draft here. We've got Dota Sounds now, and we actually didn't miss too much. Starladder will now be the final choice for our Radiant side, so that will be their carry hero to be paired with the Disruptor and Visage, Storm Spirit mid, off-lane Clockwork, fairly predictable lanes for HGT, and a pretty well-rounded roster. The Starladder pick, a little bit out of left field. Not a bad hero, but usually best when paired with minus armor team to synergize with all of his physical damage, as well as that amplify damage. And pardon me, I'm a little bit distracted here, trying to make sure everything looks good. And we fixed that in-game commentators overlay. Look at that. Ooh, now it just says Zyori. So we will move into a pause, and it looks like it will resume reasonably quickly here. And the final choice from DT will be the Nyx Assassin. Very interesting. I'm kind of curious exactly how they're going to lane this. I don't know these players off the top of my head in terms of their positions and how they're going to lane, but they have a lot of options. We have to assume that this will be a support alchemist, and it looks like that's the case so far by his opening build. Probably a Nyx Assassin mid, and then Nature's Prophet off lane. And yep, he grabs Boots of Speed, a couple of pooled tangos. He will be heading to the off lane. There's Nyx Assassin with his pooled tangos of his own, a couple of GG branches. He will be headed towards the mid lane. I think I'm still getting some sync issues here, which is kind of odd. Interesting. Waiting for signals here. I wonder which piece of equipment is giving us delay. Strange, strange, strange. So, well, I'll keep going on as if nothing is wrong until I get a signal from my production guys. With a new strategy, I guess in-game, off-camera, it probably is A-okay. So let's talk about these lanes. We've got Air going to be solo mid on the Nyx Assassin. It will be in July on the solo safe lane, Nature's Prophet. And down bottom, in the hard lane, we've got XXD playing on the position 1 Tiny. Super will be supporting on the EO, and Dreamy U will be on the Alchemist, playing support down in that bottom lane as well. Now on our Radiant side, we do have Team HGT. Clockwork will be in the solo safe lane position, being played by 333. And, yep, sync issue problem. I see it still messed up. 1-1, 1-1, playing on the Storm Spirit in the solo mid role. And up top, it will be CYS playing on the support Disruptor, Johnny playing on the position 1 Starladder, and Q will be their support Visage, joining them in this tri-lane. Already Storm Spirit in a little bit of trouble. Does take the concoction from Alchemist, the Impale from Nyx Assassin. Will they be able to secure this first blood? No, and actually Alchemist almost gets turned around on himself. He does have a haste rune, which will help keep him alive, and he waddles back with about 100 hit points to spare, and it looks like he may just opt to walk back to the well and reset things. Now let's think about these tri-lanes a little bit. Both Starladder as well as Tiny will have a pretty good opening, and Starladder is an interesting hero. Sorry, I'm talking to my production guys here. So Starladder is a pretty interesting hero. As I mentioned before the reset in the drafting phase, he's usually best when paired with other minus armor to synergize with his ultimate, but he can still pack quite the punch by himself. The problem with Starladder is he just needs a lot of farm to come online. He's one of these supports that, or pardon me, one of these carries that needs items to have a big impact. And he needs to have a good early game because he doesn't have a great recovery mechanism. He's really not that great at farming. And if he starts to fall off, he will very quickly either snowball out of control if he's having a good time, or kind of the opposite and start to fall off, turn from an asset to a liability very quickly. Now, we will see this tri-lane from DT break up very early on. Alchemist did rotate mid to start things off with that first rune. And now he will just rotate to the top lane to help support this Nature's Prophet, recognizing that Tiny doesn't need any support. He's already pretty much in free farm heaven.
Rack it
And already off to a good start, sitting 11-4 against the 12-4 of Starladder. So both carries doing reasonably well, but I like the rotation here. You really don't need 3 supports down bottom to secure the farm on Tiny. And, well, Alchemist won't be able to do too much to help out In July up top, but if they dive on him in the tower, he'll at least have an unstable concoction. And speaking of diving into the tower, In July in big trouble. Telekinesis, pardon me, not telekinesis, kinetic field comes out. They press forward. That is the first blood. Slithering Crush from Starladder made it pretty easy, and it actually is CYS to walk away with the bonus gold on the Disruptor. But talking about a good start for the Starladder, doesn't really get much better than that. Free farm heaven, then also the assist gold for that first blood. That's what I'm talking about. Down bottom, we'll see Clockwork do a little bit of the creep pull action, get some lane control back as Wisp steals some of that experience. Clockwork halfway through level 3. That is good news for him. Meanwhile, up top, Nature's Prophet, similar amount of experience, but again, the kinetic field comes out. They won't dive it this time, but asserting their dominance over the Nature's Prophet up in the top lane. Relatively even across the board, though. Less that of the first blood. Let's look at this mid lane a little bit. Storm Spirit sitting 14-3 against the 13-4 Nyx Assassin, so a very even exchange. Nyx already has his boots and bottle. And the Storm Spirit, let's see, the Courier is bringing just his bottle and has that Null Talisman complete. Looks like the Radiant will pull a rotation towards the mid lane, and oh no, Nyx Assassin pokes his head a bit too far forward. Perhaps this Courier will scat out the high ground, but Disruptor may secure the Courier kill. And they'll get it. Wow, that's a free Courier. Odd microing choices there by DT. Glimpse back onto the Nyx Assassin. He's in big trouble as the kinetic field comes out. There is support from the Alchemist nearby. The Spike Carapace comes, but it won't be enough. Now they secure a kill on the mid-hero, and Alchemist will take over the lane. Things looking very good for HGT to get things started. They got the first blood. Now they've got a kill on the solo mid-hero of the opposition, and the Courier to boot. Oh boy, folks, it doesn't get much better than that to start off a game. Now a haste rune up on the Storm. And, wait, lag? Uh-oh, recon. Strat pause here. So let's think about this. We've got Alchemist charging a stun, 5 seconds, as we can see here. Haste rune on the Storm Spirit. He's got Electric Vortex ready. It's also level 3, while he's level 5. So they'll have a pretty big disable here. And if he times this Vortex right, well, they're going to have to wait probably longer than they want. I was thinking that perhaps he could wait a little bit longer and then force him to stun himself, but Alchemist has plenty of buffer time here. Now, Disruptor does not have a glimpse available, but he does have a kinetic field. If he can time this properly, this should be a pretty easy kill right here. We glance at the gold graph. Whew, already a startling lead for our Radiant side. This is game 1 of this best of 2 series. You have not missed much. I see some folks asking in chat. We will probably end up resetting the stream following this match. If there's a longer pause, perhaps, if someone really DCs, but I think we're going to have to reset this whole system here, folks, to fix the sync issues. In-game, obviously, not as noticeable. We are still having some sync issues, so if the delay, or if you notice me kind of doing play-by-play after action happens, I think we are getting about a 1.5 second audio delay on the stream. For whatever reason, we're having some funky tech issues that we will tend to after this match completes. So just keep that in mind. Bear with me here. Such is the life of live casting. As much as I love technology, it can be the bane of my existence. I have a feeling it could. I have this sneaky suspicion it's the mixer, because it's also happening in-game. I see my little microphone light lighting up a little while after I start talking. Makes me suspicious that it's not just XSplit and connection with the system itself. So we will resume here, and we'll see how this unfolds with the Alchemist. Electric Vortex straight away. Don't forget there's a haste rune up on the Storm Spirit. And will they actually let him get away here? No! Wow. 15 hit points to spare, and the Alchemist does survive. I think the smart play from the Storm, not to overcommit, though. He didn't want to take too many tower shots. One more auto attack would have been enough for the kill, but unfortunately, they don't grab it. Still great news for the Radiant side, though, as we looked at this gold graph before the pause. About a 1,600 gold lead, something like that, and minor experience lead, but still they're off to a great start. Storm has now effectively won this mid lane. Nyx Assassin only about a third of the way through level 5, and Storm is now halfway through level 6. That alone is a large disparity, and Storm will be much more difficult to pick off. Meanwhile, down bottom, DT do get a kill on the board now, and they secure that kill onto Clockwork. They also picked off the Disruptor in that mid-exchange. But that is good news down bottom. Tiny, actually EO grabs the kill, but Tiny will start to come online. Disruptor will actually rotate down bottom, and he will be up against 3. This Disruptor needs to be rather careful. Alchemist diving the tower, will charge up the concoction. This should be an easy dive. Tiny, though, without mana, can't really do a hell of a lot besides auto attack, and he doesn't need to. The kinetic field comes out. Oh, it's almost enough to finish the Alchemist, but they switch the aggro, and he does walk away. All of a sudden, it went from 2-0 to 2-3. Team DT picking up some momentum here, getting some kills on the board. Certainly good news for them. Starladder, as well as the Tiny, still farming very evenly. Good news for both sides. Tiny misses the avalanche down bottom. Clockwork might be able to secure a kill here. Uses the cogs to burn what remaining mana this Tiny had. He does have a TP scroll, but no mana to use it. And will they secure this kill, or will Tiny walk away? Maybe he can get a rocket flare snipe. 5 seconds. No, EO will heal him up, and won't be enough. Wow, another missed kill opportunity here for HGT. Very bittersweet. And now they will reinitiate. Tiny back to full mana, compliments of the overcharge. He does connect with the avalanche this time. The toss in. Not enough damage to secure the kill straight up, but HGT 3-3-3, still in some trouble. Support is inbound, though. Disruptor will be the first to fall, but now Starladder's down here. Wisp taking heavy damage from the Storm, and he secures that kill. Alchemist charging a stun, throws it onto the Storm Spirit. Cogs come out from the Clockwork. Avalanche catches 3. Nice Slitherine Crush, buys 3-3-3 some time, and they secure the kill on Alchemist. Now Air, not out of the clear quite yet. Zip forward, and down he goes. They secure that kill. And that is another good exchange for our Radiant side. It didn't come for free, but they still come out ahead. That gold graph dipping back into their favor. Meanwhile, Nature's Prophet up in the top lane will start pressuring the top tier 1. See, Disruptor has rotated to come to its defense. And Nature's Prophet will do about half damage to the tower. But a pretty big victory for the Radiant side. Most importantly, Starladder rotated, and he was able to get some kills on the board. Now he will move to 1-0-2. Hitting level 6 as well, and staying a hop and a skip ahead of that Tiny on the net worth chart. More importantly, it's the mid heroes. That's the big disparity here. Now Storm has secured another kill on the Nyx Assassin. He's topping the charts at 3.1k, and poor little Nyx Assassin over here, this little bug, only 1.8k, really not so good. And we'll start to see that shine. Storm Spirit is one of these heroes that once he starts to take off, boy can he fly, both figuratively and literally. He could be under some pressure here, though. We see a dire sentry down. Vendetta up on Air. Vortex comes in. 1-1. 1-1. Falls for the bait, but they don't have enough to finish him off. Oh, my. The misplays from DT. Now, the Clockwork looking for a hook shot. The cancel cast. Great play from Air, positioning himself to interrupt the hook shot so that he couldn't secure that kill. And Clockwork will be deterred. Doesn't roll the dice. Decides not to gamble. And heads back to friendly territory. Most importantly, though, for the Radiant side, Storm survives that assault, and I don't think he should have been able to survive that one. Now, meanwhile, up top, Starladder has returned to lane, trying to put some pressure on that Nature's Prophet now that he's 6, showing off that amplified damage and securing vision on the Nature's Prophet. Everyone just going back to farming, though. XDD on the Tiny down here. Let's see what's he going for. Phase Boots into Drum. Does have the Robe of the Magi and the Bracer up already. A pretty standard Tiny build. I imagine after that he'll want to grab the Ag Scepter, uproot that giant tree, and start cleaving all over the place. A pretty classic Tiny build, especially when paired with a Wisp. There's a smoke in the mid lane here. The 2 supports, as well as the Storm Spirit, will look for some initiation. Now it is a Radiant Sentry that's down. And they will hop forward. Nyx is level 7, but caught inside the Static Storm. An easy kill. The smoke well worth it. Tiny does port to the mid lane, but gets glimpsed back to the bottom tier 1 tower. The power of Disruptor right there being displayed for us very clearly, though. Almost doing Tiny a little bit of a service right there. He's going to send him back to lane so he can go back to farming. And actually may engage on Clockwork. I don't know if that glimpse was actually that great. Cogs come out. Tiny does connect with the Avalanche, throws a toss inside the cogs. And Clockwork in some trouble, but in comes the Disruptor. Kinetic Field keeps the Tiny in place. And, whoa, what a toss onto the Starladder. He says, get out of here, Starladder. I don't want anything that you have to offer. Oh, 3-3-3. He's in trouble. Wow, he walks away with 10 hit points. EO desperately trying to finish him off, but they secure the kill. Starladder comes in and grabs that last hit. Very nicely played. Meanwhile, at the top lane, though, it does not come for free. It does cost them the Tier 1 tower. The first tower of the match has gone down in favor of DT. So although they find an unfavorable exchange in the bottom, they do pay with it with their pay for it with their top tower. Still about a 1,500 gold and experience lead for our Radiant side. Tiny and Starladder trading blow for blow in terms of farm. But our Radiant side is continuing to find an edge. Again, it's coming from that Storm Spirit. Now, topping the charts, about to break that 4K barrier. He has the power treads up. Robe of the Magi in the inventory will be working towards a fast Orchid. A pretty classic Storm build. We talked about it earlier in the first best of two, and it's ideal if Storm has that freedom and won't feel forced to go a BKB. Now, this match, there is quite a bit of stun to try and deal with Storm between the Avalanche, the Impale, as well as the Unstable Concoction. They do have a fair bit of crowd controls, but so far, they've really yet to be able to use them to shut down this Storm. Storm's also an incredibly high level. He's highest in the match, level 9, and getting reasonably close to 10. This is what starts to get scary. If you give a Storm this much space, 3-0-2 at the 11.5 minute mark, that's where he really starts to pick up momentum. He'll have that first Oblivion staff up very quickly here. He actually has enough gold to complete it. So the timing on this Orchid is looking very good for 1-1-1-1. Nyx Assassin does have his Arcane Boots up. We'll probably be looking for a Blink Dagger, but here at the 12-minute mark, a 1-3-0 Nyx Assassin is not so good for the team that Nyx is on. He's a hero that needs to make plays, needs to try and set up ganks, and they've just done such an effective job at keeping him down so far in this early game. With that said, though, sitting level 7, he will Vendetta up, rotate into the bottom lane. And do they have any sentries to prepare for this? Yes, they do. They've got plenty of sentries. He will reveal the Vendetta, though. Throws the stun. Disruptor in some trouble, but oh, he gets the ultimate down. Kinetic Field. This Tiny could be in deep doo-doo. Starladder does have a blink available. EO gets picked off. Now this Tiny in big trouble. Support coming in. Starladder taking some damage as well, but he does secure the Tiny. Looking for an opportunity to port out. He will. Maybe he blinks into the trees. And still considering porting out, just trying to stay safe right now. He can use that Blink Dagger a little bit more loosely, given it doesn't take any mana. But that was another great exchange for our Radiant side. They did lose their Visage, but still a good exchange. Starladder with a very early blink. Now he is much more scary. Their initiation power has been increased by quite a bit. They already had a lot with the Clockwork, and now they've got a blink on Starladder and Storm. Now level 11 makes his ult that much more potent. And his first Oblivion staff and some of the other core pieces now are on the way. Things continue to look good for our Radiant side. Now upwards of a 2,000 gold lead, 3,000 experience. On the side of the Dire, how are their items looking? Well, Nature's Prophet did have a reasonably fast Hand of Midas. He did go Phase Boots first, but he has the hand up and about 1,200 in the bank, so that's really not too shabby. Their only other core items are sitting on the Tiny, and that is Phase Boots into a Drum of Endurance. He also has the Magic Wand complete. But, yeah, the farm slowing down just a little bit. Tiny as well as the Nature's Prophet, the two big breadwinners. Other than that, their mid-hero, extremely poor. Their support's rather poor as well. This poor, poor Wisp. Well, he will bottle up a Haste Rune, but pretty much just a bottle to his name right now. One branch, and then just a couple of wards. Starladder, solo down bottom. Well, nothing going to come his way here. We do see a smoke, though, on the Nyx Assassin, as well as the Alchemist in the Radiant Jungle. Vendetta is available for the Nyx here. He will start charging the Concoction. Uh-oh, I think Alchemist will stun himself. Nowhere to go. He'll stun himself around the backside. Now Disruptor throws down the Static Storm as Tiny gets relocated in.
Over here now.
Oh boy, this could be a disaster for the Dire. Nyx Assassin just gets dropped once again. This Disruptor has been on point with his Static Storms. The bottom Tier 1 tower taking heavy pressure from the Nature's Prophet. So again, a good exchange, but In July has done a great job finding openings around the map to capitalize on everything that Nature's Prophet brings to the table. Unfortunately, this time, it won't come for free. He'll try and port out here. Do they have the damage to try and finish him? They do not. He makes it out, and whoa, he will die to a neutral. Whoa, Nature's Prophet. He gets crit by an Alpha Wolf, it looks like. That's really unfortunate. While we were watching Nature's Prophet not die to the heroes, Alchemist did get picked off in the mid lane by the Storm Spirit. Looks like a solo kill. Really wish I had followed that Nature's Prophet port back. I thought he was just going to go to the well, but oh, he got killed by a neutral. What a disaster. A complete and utter disaster. The Radiant will grab a little boost in gold, and that is all tower gold. It is 2-0 right now, but the experience graph much more telling of the momentum in this game. Just about 4,000 in the favor of the Radiant. Still Storm, the big breadwinner. Now 4-3-0. Slardar 4-0-3. Slardar 3-0-4. Both of them, the big playmakers on this team, and well, given the momentum they've picked up, that is a great sign. Two heroes that can really snowball out of control. Slardar in particular. I think he'll be working towards a BKB next. That would certainly make the most sense. A classic item on Slardar. You just need that survivability, so you can hop in with the Blink, BKB, get a couple auto attacks off, maybe a Slitherine Crush, throw an amplified damage, and survive to tell the tale, and then just head back to your friends. BKB, a very core item on that hero. Very curious where Clockwork is going to go as well. And oh, something's on the Courier. A Bracer. That's what Clockwork's working towards. Very curious what his first core item will be, though. Hookshot is available. Mid tier 1 tower will start taking some pressure. Nature's Prophet has made some treants. Oh, there's the hookshot from Clockwork. Is zip in from the Nature's Prophet. And Alchemist will be yet another free kill. This Alchemist has taken way too many spills in this game. Air. Oh, what are you thinking, Nyx? What are you thinking? Well, at least he's going to get to clean some of the schmutz off his face as he gets a free trip back to the well. In comes the Tiny Wisp relocation. Tiny does a little bit of damage, but he doesn't have enough to secure any kills. Now they're going to try to turn it around. The overcharge doing some serious work. The relocate will keep him safe, but they do no damage, and they leave the Nature's Prophet behind. A 3-for-0 exchange. Now Tiny ports back to the tower, adding insult to injury. Now 15-5. The graph's starting to look even worse. So much momentum going the way of HGT right now. This Disruptor, though, he's got to be the big playmaker. He is just on point every single time that Tiny Wisp pops in. He's ready with the storm, Static Storm. He's been on point with these kinetic fields and the glimpses as well. He's just been landing everything, showing us what Disruptor is all about and why he works well, not only against Tiny Wisp, but just in general. Still, I hate to harp on it, but this Nyx Assassin has been the most underwhelming part of this match. He still has just Arcane Boots. Meanwhile, that's an Orchid up on the Storm Spirit. You thought it was rough before. Now that he's got that Orchid, things are going to get even more difficult. Nature's Prophet forced to go utility item first after the Midas. Does go for the Force Staff against the Clockwork, and never a bad choice, but they need a playmaker. They need somebody to set up some kills. Nature's Prophet has a lot of net worth right now, but he just doesn't have it where it counts. You know, he's got a hand of Midas, he's got a Force Staff, but he can't really push that effectively. Yeah, he knocked down 2 tier 1 towers in the side lanes, but he's not going to be able to push these tier 2s very easily or very quickly. Best he can hope for is surviving Clockwork if he gets hookshotted. But
is under attack.
Yeah, just showing the pace of this game. Mid tier 1 tower under heavy pressure. And it will fall. First tower to go in favor of the Radiant. Total tower count is 2-1, but they get that main access point in the mid. See Clockwork here in the dire jungle, perhaps looking for a kill on the Nature's Prophet, but he does not find it. What can this Nyx Assassin do? 1-5-1. Oh boy, he's only been involved in 2 kills in 19 minutes. Far from ideal. Nature's Prophet will port down to the bottom lane. He'll join the Wisp and Tiny as they start chipping away at this bottom tier 2 tower. There is a glyph available for the Radiant. 2 ports coming in. Make it 3. They will burn the glyph. Relocate is available on the Wisp. Oh, a big zip forward from Storm Spirit. He's out of mana, but they have enough to finish off the Wisp. The Orchid makes it possible. Now Tiny could be in some trouble. Hookshot has already been burned, and Tiny will port out. So, not the best exchange, but they get a 1-for-0, only on the Wisp, but they also hold their bottom tier 2 tower. So, all in all, not too shabby for our Radiant side. Slardar now has the Ogre Club up, another 1,000 gold in the bank already. So, more than halfway to that BKB. And he's also level 11. 2,000 gold, 5,000 experience, still pressing forward in favor of our Radiant side. Visage working towards the mech, buckler up already. Oh, and there's the headdress, about halfway to the recipe. That's a pretty darn rich Visage. Tiny getting close to the Ags as well. Just about 600 until he can grab that Blade of Alacrity. And that's when Tiny really will start to come online. Grow, of course, gets much more scary. He's got the cleave, and he just looks cooler. I mean, once he has that giant tree that he uses as kind of a walking stick slash a weapon, beating stick, it's pretty cool. I like it. I approve. Tiny pushing up top. It looks like they will get in position to defend this top tier 2 tower, recognizing the glyph isn't available. Johnny will press forward. Slithering Crush does not connect with Tiny, but they get the amplified damage out. Oh no, Tiny could be in some trouble here. The relocate from Wisp. He will keep Tiny safe, but now Wisp is in some trouble. Meanwhile, oh, Tiny didn't get connected in the relocate. Yes, he did with the glimpse. Oh, silly, silly me. They get the Tiny. Now they're going to get the Wisp as well. Yeah, I didn't catch that glimpse from Disruptor, but right there, point in case, front and center. How do you deal with a Wisp? Well, I would consider picking that guy that rides a Raptor. He has been such a crucial part in the success of HGT so far. 3-3-9 on Disruptor. Not a bad way to get this game started. They will force out the glyph as they pressure the top tier 1 tower. Nature's Prophet makes good use of this opening to take out the tier 1 tower mid. It will be 2 to 3 in total tower count as HGT continue pressing forward into the top tier 2. And Nature's Prophet, well, he may just rotate down to the bottom lane. We'll actually clear out a jungle camp first. But it appears that DT are grouping up for a bottom tier 2 tower push. HGT need to be a little bit careful here. They do have a 5-man grouping up top. When they start chipping at the tower, though, DT are in a position to try and defend here. Mech now up on the Visage. They will back out. They smoke. They're ready to reinitiate. Keep your eye on Starladder. He's ready to hop in. No, it's the zip forward. They use the Orchid on Tiny to get things started. Wisp does not have a relocate. Tiny gets dropped before this fight even starts. The bottom tier 2 tower still standing. Nature's Prophet hasn't even made it into tower range. And Tiny has already fallen. Oh, this initiation power from the Radiant is just so powerful. It's so effective. It's like a Squirtle throwing water at a Charizard. He's not even evolved, and he's still doing damage. It's super effective.
Radiant's bottom tower.
Oh, this poor Tiny. Oh, 3-2. Just not the momentum he was looking for. Also a great time to secure that kill. It will slow down his Ags even more. Johnny also ports down bottom, and he does keep the bottom tier 2 tower safe. He keeps it out of deny range. Actually, scratch that. The siege creep will do enough to push it into deny range, and he should be able to secure it after this creep wave falls. Easy denies here. And a good hold for the Radiant. Let's check that gold graph. 3,000. Experience now upwards of 7,500. Johnny, he wants us to wait. And we will do just that, sir. I love the bold. Just wait. So Tiny does still actually have okay farm, but this is that time where he's starting to fall off. He was dead even with the Starladder, and he still is, but Storm has just surpassed him at this point. I mean, look at Storm. He's 7-0-6. This is how this hero really starts to thrive. He had the Orchid nice and early. 23 minutes in, he's got another 3.3k just sitting in the bank. That is a really rich Storm. I mean, 19-5, you'd expect him to be pretty rich. Not those 19 kills. He's been involved in 13. So I can't say I'm too surprised to see him really balling out of control. I just don't know what DT can do to stop him. I mean, they just have so much more initiation power. They've even tried a few times with the Nyx Assassin in the front line, but it's just a less well-rounded draft. I can't help but think that HGT maybe outdrafted them a little bit here between the Disruptor and just all the initiation between the Ball Lightning, the Hookshot, and the Blink on Starladder. If DT could have kept the Starladder down, that would have changed the state of this game a lot. But because Starladder was able to pick up such an early Blink, they don't have the counter initiation to deal with this. Now, one good thing coming their way is a Blink Dagger is finally up on Nyx Assassin. 23 minutes in, much later than they would have liked, but he's got it online nonetheless, getting close to level. Still in a rough spot. but that will help solve some of the initiation problems that the Dire side have been experiencing. At least now Nyx can blink in, hopefully catch a few with the Impale, and then set up for Tiny to hop in with the Wisp. They have options. So we will finally resume. Looks like there were some lag issues here coming into this match, but we've got a game. Necro Book now up on the Nature's Prophet, though Clockwork will have his BKB complete. So items are starting to come out on both sides of the coin, but Radiant still with a huge advantage. Even just the mech advantage, pretty significant right now. No mech even in production for DT, and we see Visage here already has his complete. That's a big difference in these team fights, especially here in the mid game. Quite a bit of healing and can actually turn the tides if used properly, of course. 3-2 in total tower count. DT actually still have the advantage on that front, and well, that's part of the reason the gold graph isn't as out of control as the experience graph. But right now, I think all HGT need to do is keep up what they're doing. Just keep looking for kills around the map and continue finding good initiation. Tiny does now have the Ag Scepter up. They couldn't prevent it. You knew it was coming. But they've already pretty much achieved what they needed to in terms of keeping Tiny down. 24 minutes, not the fastest Ag Scepter, not the worst timing ever. His farm still isn't that bad. He's actually about 500 up on the Starladder. Could be a lot worse. Certainly could be a lot better. Now DT will pull a rotation down bottom. They've got 4 heroes here ready to defend this tier 3. 2 of them smoked up, the Tiny and the Alchemist. Acid Spray comes out from the Alch. All 5 of the Radiant starting to group up. We could see a big team fight break out down here. See, Sentry Ward down already, trying to prevent that Nyx from getting a good initiation. DT will just rotate. They'll blow their smoke. And this bottom tier 1 will take some heavy pressure. No glyph available. It is destined to fall. Really interesting. I thought they were going to group up and prepare for a hold. Instead, they just kind of waste some of their time rotating into the tower. Storm hops forward. He sees an Alchemist, and he wants it. Hookshot in from the Clockwork. A little bit off the mark. Does burn his BKB. I don't even know that it was necessary. Kinetic Field to try and zone out the Alchemist. Again, a great positioning from the Disruptor. They get another kill on this under-farmed support Alchemist, making him now 1-4-3. And they will take out this bottom tier 2 tower on the Dire side of the map. Now in the top lane, their tier 2 is taking some heavy pressure. This Nature's Prophet has just continuing to be a thorn in their side, doing a great job finding positives, getting gold for his team. The question truly is, will it be enough? Storm will pour it in, and he should be able to secure this deny. He cleans up the creep wave. Tower in deny range. They will be able to secure another tower deny. And actually, this bottom tower is in deny range, but Starladder didn't deny it after he reconnected. So another potential deny right there, but well played by the Storm. And now BKB is up on the Starladder. Starladder. I always thought Starladder would make a good Pokemon. You know, couldn't you just like see Ash going, "Go Starladder, I choose you," and then Starladder pops out. He's got his little pitchfork. Starladder, Pika Slar. Like I don't know. I could totally see it. His name works so well in the Pokemon world where you can only say your own name. Never really made any sense, though. How do they understand each other? I don't get it. I never understood it. That's one fatal flaw in the whole Pokemon franchise. It'd be one thing if the Pokemon just spoke a different language. It sounded like gibberish to humans, you know, but they all just say the same word over and over. I don't think that constitutes a language, you know? At least make them like whales, you know? Make them just make weird noises that we can't comprehend. Never got that. I just never got that. Maybe something got lost in translation from Japanese to English. I don't know. I just never knew what to make of that. I always thought it was strange. And then some of the Pokemon don't even say their names. You know, some of them really just do make weird noises. How does Geodude fly?
Boom,
You know,
there it
he's made out of
goes.
freaking rocks, man. Like, do you know the forces at work to make that rock just float around seemingly effortlessly? Like, what? God, I wish I was a Geodude so bad. Actually, I wish I was an Onyx, just a giant snake made out of rocks.
Players here.
Jesus. Talk about power.
Dire's middle
Talk about
tower
power.
is
Some of the
under
coolest
attack.
Pokemon were so underpowered. Anyhow, looking at this game here, 20-5 at the 27-minute mark. Team HGT in great shape. They will group up in the mid lane and take out the last outer tower for DT. They actually do have a glyph available, but doesn't look like DT are too interesting in defending. Instead, they will try and trade for towers of their own. Bit of a misplay here from HGT. They hand Tiny some extra gold that they could have denied. That was really a free tower deny for quite some while, and they let it go. So Tiny will capitalize and gets a little bit of extra gold. Already back up to 2.5k. His farm starting to skyrocket a little bit. They did a good job keeping him down, but I think they need to keep on keeping on here. Keep pressuring that Tiny. Don't give him room to farm. The Ag Scepter on Tiny is kind of like a special Battle Fury just for him. And once he gets that farming tool, not only is it great for just team fights and overall damage output, but it lets Tiny farm a lot faster. So once he gets that branch, you still need to put pressure his way because he will eventually out-farm you. Storm's farm is insane because he's picked up so many kills and has yet to die. And oh, by the way, he's now picked up a Lincoln Sphere. This is a pretty good Lincoln's game. Not a huge amount of single target, but just an all-around good item on Storm. A lot of regeneration, gives him that tankiness that he needs. But still not the best Lincoln's game. We'll see what he wants to go for here. Even a BKB wouldn't be too bad. I don't even know that he needs it. They haven't been able to lock down this Storm. He's also now level 16, the highest level in the game by 2. Tiny leading 14, or leading the way on the Dire side at 14, tied with the Nature's Prophet. Both teams very satisfied just sitting back farming for now, though as I say that, HGT will smoke up. Oh boy. And oh, there's an urn picked up on the Wisp. But they will press forward here, and perhaps they're just going to try and bait with this Clockwork and Starladder at just a 3-man smoke at the moment. And this tier 2 tower mid, reasonably low. They do have a glyph available. Interesting that neither side has been too interested in Roshan. There is actually a medallion up on the Alchemist. 1-1-1. One hiding in the trees. There's the glyph. They will pop it to try and buy some time on this tower. Meanwhile, Tiny and Wisp are going to try and pressure down bottom, and Nature's Prophet, he ports up top to try and pressure that tier 3. They do secure the tier 2 in the mid. That will give them the tower advantage once again. Oh, pardon me, it's actually tied up in towers. There is a tier 1 still standing up top. Clockwork, hook shot in, does connect with the Tiny. Wisp has to relocate, tethers just in time, and takes his buddy back to safety. But don't forget, Wisp will relocate back. Clockwork looking to line it up. The zip forward from Storm, and they'll get a kill on Yo. So they grab another kill. Storm adds another one to the board. 8-0-7. Just racking them up. Still only a kill on the Wisp. They keep finding kills on the supports. If we look at this here, Wisp is 2-6-2. And even the Alchemist 1-4-3. So between those, that's half the kills they've picked up are just the underformed squishy supports. So maybe this number is even just a little bit misleading. Our Radiant side have a notable lead here, 5,000 gold, just about 10,000 experience. But they keep getting kills on these very non-essential heroes, I guess I'll say, in terms of what does this translate to. They're not getting map objectives here. Not going to move into the Roche pit, and they only have one last tower to push. Okay, this Nature's Prophet has just made it so difficult for them to commit to any kind of pushing. In July, really has done a good job creating space for his team. Anytime it looks like the Radiant is committing to a tower, a kill, anything else, he is in position at the drop of a hat to start pressuring the base. And conversely, HGT have done a good job dealing with the Nature's Prophet. Zip forward, though, from the Storm Spirit. Once again, he catches the Wisp. This ward coming in handy here for the Radiant. Actually, Dire ward down there as well. They secure yet another kill. But same story, different chapter. We just talked about it. What do they do from here? Where's the objective? They will get a counter ward down, so that's good. They get a little bit more vision control. I think our Radiant side might be able to secure a Roche before too long, though. Anytime there's a tiny Wisp, it is a little bit scary. They can relocate right on top of you. But as long as they have detection to deal with the Nyx Assassin, and maybe if they clear out these wards as well, I think they could take a Roche before too long here. They do take some map control, vision up here on the high ground, so they can start moving around the Dire jungle a bit more freely. Perhaps looking for kills on more high-value targets than just the Wisp. And they will rotate towards the Roche pit. Now, the Dire do have a ward up here on the high ground. And is there a gem on our Radiant side? No, there is not. So they just move into the Roche pit. The Dire side know exactly what's up right here. This ward giving them the valuable intel that they need. Where's the Tiny? Tethered with Wisp right now. Will be able to relocate, but they're not going to do it. Starladder will make it an easy Roche. And then minus armor from the ultimate. Well, there's one thing that we know about Roshan. It's that he's easily countered by minus armor. Completely uncontested Roche for HGT. Now 7,500 gold lead, over 10,000 experience lead. Of course, the Aegis of the Immortal in the inventory of the Storm Spirit, one of the best Aegis carriers in the game. He'll zip forward. Alchemist in some trouble. He'll be the first to fall to start this off. EO, the second target to go down. Alchemist actually buys back, but the damage has already been done. They've lost 3 heroes, and still a lot of hit points available on the Radiant side. Mech has already been popped. But Visage, oh, he'll get nuked down by the Tiny. They do secure that kill. Now Clockwork, maybe overcommitting into the tier 4s. He'll actually fall as well. BKB up on the Starladder, doing some more damage. Nyx Assassin actually now buys back. Triple kill coming out for the Storm Spirit. And he actually still has the Aegis in tow. So maybe an overcommitment from our Radiant side, but they still take a very convincing team fight. Starladder, he won't get off scot-free. He will end up falling, but they forced 3 buybacks out of the Dire side. Nature's Prophet, oh no, yeah, 3. Nature's Prophet, Alchemist, and Nyx Assassin all bought back to make to clean up those 4 kills. Their racks do stand. The tier 3 tower took virtually no damage, even though it was a good hold and they find some positives. All of those buybacks will cost our item progression, and this gold graph will be very misleading. It does not factor in buyback. It will cost HGT their tier 2 tower min. They do burn the glyph to buy themselves some time, but everyone popping up. Starladder will be down for another 25 seconds. He actually has a Sanj now as well. And following that fight, Tiny will finish his Assault Cuirass, and that's a Rod of Owie now out on the field in the inventory of... Where did it go? Where did it go? Still on the courier? Somebody picked it up. Oh, it's on the Radiant side. Oh, I'm a silly goose. Disruptor. Rod of Atos. An interesting choice. An item that we see very infrequently. And if I was on Disruptor, I would be tempted just to be working towards that Ag Scepter. He has one of those Ags upgrades that really buffs his ultimate quite a bit. It's not a matter of, is the Ags upgrade good? It's a matter of, can Disruptor actually farm the Ags to begin with? And if he has enough farm to get a Rod of Atos, he could be very close to finishing up that Scepter. But to each his own, he will get a little bit of additional survivability, and Rod of Atos does synergize very well with this hero. And they will do a 4-man smoke, pardon me, through the mid lane. Don't forget the Aegis is still up on the Storm Spirit, and after that fight, he did manage to pick up his Scythe of Vice. So he is even more scary. 11-0-9. He's been involved in 20 of the 26 kills his team has picked up. Now DT are in a rough position.
Radiant's bottom tower
They're just in such an aggressive spot right now as they press forward. Port's coming out. Will anyone get caught? They catch the Nature's Prophet as Starladder blinks forward, uses that Slithering Crush. Nature's Prophet is dead. He has bought back recently. He'll be down for 80 seconds, and this will be a huge window of opportunity for the Radiant side. Nature's Prophet is the one that has been trying to pressure their base as they push, with him down for over 60 seconds. They know he doesn't have buyback because he burned it in the last fight. They should feel pretty safe just pushing straight up the mid lane. They might be able to break high ground here. Again, Aegis still up on the Storm. He'll have it for another few minutes. Great positioning here for our Radiant side. Only a 5,000 gold lead, but they still have a pretty sizable experience lead. Now with this map control, they will continue to press on. No buybacks available for DT. The only 2 that could potentially have it here are the Wisp.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And who's the other one? Tiny. He actually has it. Tier 3
top
tower in the top lane. Pressured hard. They do actually kill the tower, but they're here to defend. Tiny left all alone. Now that his Wisp buddy has been picked off, he'll get caught in the kinetic field. Tiny's in trouble. He's down. Now that did buy time for Nature's Prophet to come back up. Meanwhile in the mid lane though, Alchemist will get engaged on by the Clockwork, charging up a concoction. It doesn't matter. He throws it onto the Visage. They still secure the kill. DT just getting picked apart at this point. The base is secure. Tiny the only one here with a buyback available. Nature's Prophet is now up. He'll port to the top lane. He wants to secure this lane of racks. No Radiant Glyph available. They will press forward, but look at this Storm Spirit. There is a
attack.
dire ward right here. They scout it out,
Are fortified.
and that will be enough to repel the Nature's Prophet, at least for now. Glyph comes out. They force the buyback from Tiny. Perhaps DT can make a hold here. HGT with the right idea. They will just slow siege the tower. They chip away at it, and that's it. They will be forced back. Aegis reclaimed now in less than a minute. Just about 50 seconds to go. Double damage rune up on the Storm. This is his time to get aggressive. If there was ever a time just to go YOLO mode, burn that Aegis, this is it. Although the timing does have to be spot on. He's got a buffer of just about 40 seconds or so.
Dire's
He
middle
needs to
tower
really
is under
overcommit or just not commit and
Radiant's
not
top
burn the
barracks
Aegis.
are
It's
under
got to be
attack.
one or the other. You can't go halvesies, but they need to do something because down bottom, they're
Dire's
losing
middle
this,
barracks are
or
under
up
attack.
top, I guess, in their base. They've lost that lane of racks. They will press forward. They will trade racks for racks.
Dire's
I don't know if
middle
this is a
barracks
good
has
exchange for our
fallen.
Radiant side.
Radiant's
Relocate
top
back.
barracks has
It's just
fallen.
Nature's Prophet. One lane of racks for one lane of racks. Still an even exchange, but Nature's Prophet's in some trouble. Storm Spirit did port back, and he will secure the kill. Meanwhile, back in the base, Starladder did get picked off by the Nyx Assassin. And that's where it will end. Nyx Assassin in exchange for the Nature's Prophet. I think that was a good exchange for the Dire. I mean, they're pretty far behind right now, especially in terms of experience. And making it a racks for racks exchange. The rule of thumb is if it's an even game, or pardon me, if there's a disparity, one team is ahead, and you trade evenly, that's usually good for the team that is behind. So I'll label that a victory for the Dire. Unfortunately for Storm, he just never got to use that Aegis. But he does have another 3.5k gold in the bank. 1-1, 1-1, 14-0-9 on this Storm Spirit. He's still out of control. Still 4,000 gold up on the Tiny. Still in great shape. Now DT will start moving about the jungle here.
Where's the party?
Where's the party?
Puddin' pop.
And the party's in the mid lane. As that Alchemist gets picked off. 32-10. Very one-sided, but trading that lane of racks actually gives DT a sign of life here. They can rat Dota their way to victory if HGT are not careful. 40 minutes in, anything's possible. This is that time when structures don't look quite so powerful. Tiny is starting to hit. Well, he hits hard. He doesn't really hit that fast, but with the Assault Cuirass up, looks like he's working towards a BKB next. Has an Ogre Club. And, yep, there's the Mithril. So just waiting for that BKB recipe. I think the sooner HGT try and seal the deal, the better here. They may be well advised to wait till the next Roche. We still don't know what the variable portion of the Roche respawn will be. But they need to do something because Tiny will eventually outcarry them. Starladder, he hasn't really fallen off, but his farm is just not quite as impressive. His initiation power is still good. He's got the BKB, Assange, and now with a Hyperstone, it looks like he will try and transition into an Assault Cuirass. Tiny will just straight out carry him, though. Tiny is no doubt the harder carry here. And as this game continues, Nature's Prophet will continue to get scarier. He's had that Hand of Midas up. It's done more than kick in. That level 3 Necro Book, as we've seen, he started with the 4 staff, now with the Ultimate Orb, most likely working towards a Sheep Stick, which he's not far off of. Having Alchemist as well won't hurt DT as this game continues. He's very underfarmed still, but as always, he can eventually start to transition into a little bit of at least a semi-carry. Now that he has Grievel's Greed, that farm will start to add up. He does have a Sange, probably going to be a Halberd. So I think it's safe to say that DT do have the late game carry advantage. If this ends up being a static farm fest for the next 20 minutes, our Dire side will be the team to come out ahead, all else equal. Experience now 20,000 in favor of the Radiant, but the longer this game goes on, kind of the less significant that becomes. Storm's level 22. He's still the highest level by a large margin, but it's just not that crazy. Relatively long Roche spawn. And here we go. Could be some initiation. Nope, glimpse. And that's where this initiation will stop, at least for now. Both teams posturing around the pit.
Quickly.
Recognizing that Roche could be up anytime now. Storm Spirit, though, down bottom. He's trying to solo the world. Does use the Piggy. And, oh, he's trying to hop forward. Whoa, Storm Spirit, you don't have the Aegis anymore, pal. You need to be a little bit more careful. He will bait it out, though. The concoction comes. BKB out from the Starladder. They will hop forward. Down goes the Alchemist as the hookshot connects. Now they want this Nyx Assassin. He'll get glimpsed back. And they have the damage. That's a 2-for-0. Great catch for the Radiant side. I thought his Storm Spirit may be getting too bold, but he served as effective bait. And now they force a buyback from the Alchemist. Tiny's buyback is actually still on cooldown. Storm just tanking the tower. Few cares in the world. Trying to zone out the opposition as they start doing damage to the bottom tier 3. Glyph is available for the Dire side, but uh-oh, in the mid, there's the relocate. Nature's Prophet as well. Glyph used by the Radiant side, but this tier 3 will fall very quickly. Both tier 3 towers go down. This could be another Rax for Rax exchange. I don't think our Radiant side want to do this. No, maybe they do. The relocate back. Clockwork hook shots in, just trying to create space. 1-1-1 hops forward. They want this Tiny. Johnny hops forward as well. Slitherine Crush. There's the BKB. Alchemist does get picked off by the Visage. The mid lane does stay safe, at least for now. EO picked off as well. Will buy back. Tiny with the BKB on, swinging that branch, but he just can't secure the kills. Storm still going ham in the front lines. Reinitiation from the Starladder. He'll pay with his life, but he's buying time. Tiny, he finally finishes off the Visage. Clockwork, hook shots back in. A lot of low health heroes here. Does secure the kill on the Nature's Prophet. Tiny survives, and Storm Spirit falls. He buys back as well. Storm right back in the action. He's got BOTs up, but oh no! It's going to be a dieback! Storm! Oh no! The misplays. The Rax are still standing. HGT getting way too caught up in hero kills. They leave the Rax. They lose their melee Rax mid. Oh god, that was terrible. That was awful. Oh, no. HGT had so much momentum, but that could have been a big throw. They take a bad exchange here. They've only got 1 Rax down. Meanwhile, 3 of theirs are down. They will hand over Roche. Storm died, bought back, BOT'd back into the fight, and then just overcommitted. You've got a tower down. You've got Rax exposed with no glyph available. And meanwhile, Storm is literally sitting here throwing shots into the well. Not the way you want to do it. That greed cost him, and he's down for another 60 seconds. One of the worst times for that to happen, because now they'll move straight into Roche.
Roshan has fallen to the Dire.
Roshan has fallen to the Dire indeed. Aegis of the Immortal going the way of Tiny. I think DT are certainly right back in this game. The graphs are negligible at this point. They're right back in it. They've got the Rax advantage, and their top lane is safe because they still have an outer tower standing. All they need to do is be patient, wait for HGT perhaps to make a misstep, and they can just capitalize like they just did. They have the pushing power now, and HGT just need to be so careful. We've seen how quickly Nature's Prophet with a level 3 Necro book mixed with a Tiny at this state in the game can kill structures. And they're at the point where, even with the, they're almost at the point where they can just pop on BKBs and just zerg down the Rax. They don't need to do that quite yet. That's kind of like an all-in effort, but they could. It comes to the point where, especially if they have another one of these exchanges where they catch the Radiant side out too far and they take down this bottom tier 3 tower, they'll be at the point where they can just BKB, zerg the Rax, and once you have Mega Creeps, GG, well played, son. That's it. That's all she wrote. Some more disconnects here, so we will have a pause. Give me a moment to recollect my composure after that. Oh, and I get to see the instant replay here. That is one great thing about the delay server. Stuck in a pause like this, you get to see the action happen again, the magic. Getting a little tongue-tied here. It is 4:08 on the Pacific Coast. Oh, boy. More connection issues here. Hopefully Nature's Prophet can reconnect. This is only game 1 of this best of 2 series, guys. Team DT looking good, but we've got another match coming up after this. First series was 1-1. This series shaping up to be rather similar. A pretty intense game, though. 45 minutes in. I really thought our Radiant team would be able to secure the Just seal the deal. I mean, look at this Storm. He's 15-2-3. He was undefeated until he dove into the base like that. $37-15. Yeah, talk about a deceptive hero score. Showing the power of the hard carry Tiny. Carry not to be underestimated. That classic Tiny Wisp combo. You get to this certain point where Tiny can, where you can just hop into the base and just start dropping structures. It really is quite dirty, especially when paired with the Nature's Prophet. Rat Dodo for the win. Well, seems like we will have a delayed pause here, guys, and I'm just going to take this opportunity to stay a little bit quiet here. The old voice is hanging in there, though I have to admit, a little bit of a sore throat here. Lots of casting today. A long day of casting. Oh, that dry Californian air. Ah, there we go. In July, we'll reconnect. Oh, nice. Wow, Tiny has a lot of gold as well. About 3.8k. Rather curious what he's going to grab next. You know, honestly, I think Mask of Madness wouldn't be too bad. It's almost time just to pitch that old drum of endurance and get yourself a mom. Forget about your dad when you got yourself a mom. And here we are, resuming into this game one of this best of two series between HGT and Team DT. Alchemist farming up here. So both sides may take a little bit more of a passive route, but I think it's about time the Dari side can just start being the aggressors. This entire game, it's really been the Radiant team controlling the momentum of the game, and DT have just been taking smart exchanges. Oh, that's one of the casters that DC. They've been taking smart exchanges, and they've just gotten the better of these base race type scenarios. Now that they have the Aegis up on Tiny, though, I think they can really afford to push some of the push the boundaries of their limitations and start pressing forward. They may wait for some of their buybacks to cool down, though. They do have 3 heroes on buyback cooldown, though conversely, they know Storm actually bought back in the last fight. So that could be an opportunity worth trying to execute upon. Tiny does have his buyback, and he's really the valuable one, the one that really needs it. Wisp with an illusion rune, and Nyx Assassin does activate an invisibility. There is a smoke from the Radiant side, so they will continue the aggression. They hop forward. Oh, they wanted that Wisp illusion, and they got it. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky for Team HGD. They want to be aggressive, and they want to set up kills, but they just don't have lane control. Top and middle are going to start to push in pretty quickly here. And they will be forced back. This smoke will get revealed, and not much they can do about it.
And it's off.
Yep, that's it. They're going to be forced to turtle into the base at this point. I mean, they can push out the lanes. They can look for some ganks. But they have to push out the lanes first. They really can't afford much more destruction into their base. I mean, look, one of their tier 4s is already well below half health. So they need to be very careful here. They do have their glyph coming up. Aegis reclaimed in about 3 minutes. I hope that DT try and make a play. I think they should at least try to make a push and burn the Aegis. They do have their buybacks coming up here in about a minute and a half across the board. Wisp 115 and Nature's Prophet at that 140 mark. Even if they do some split push and do 4 down in the bottom lane and put Nature's Prophet in the mid, put some Necronomicon units on the tier 4s, I think it's worth it just to try and use the Aegis. Capitalize on that. Roshan you took. But we'll see. Ooh, Halberd now up on the Alchemist. And I'm just trying to think, like, what else could they be waiting for? What else does DT need to seal the deal? And Tiny with 6k gold, he could go for a butterfly. And, okay, he will sell the Drum of Endurance. Now he's got the bottle. Uh-oh. Now the double damage rune in the bottle. As LD likes to say, the rune of many wins, and especially up on a tiny at this point in the game, that could be the victory. That could be your victory dance right there. Now the question is, well, how will they choose to use it? With an Aegis and double damage rune, it doesn't get much sweeter than this. This has got to be an opportunity that they've been waiting for. I do like that DT are being rather patient in this game. Their patience has paid off so far. Again, that's how they were able to take this positive Rax exchange. The issue is, though, there is such a thing as being overly patient. And with a double damage rune, Aegis Tiny, you got to do something. You just got to do something with it, or you're just wasting opportunities. There comes a point where Tiny's going to be 6-slotted reasonably soon here. He still has 2 item slots to go. But the problem is he has a lot of gold. Okay, there you go. He is going to pick up the Manta. Smart choice on Tiny. And... Tiny, and then maybe that last slot after the Manta. I think Butterfly or Mask of Madness, one or the other. Both are very good. But there will come a point where Tiny gets 6-slotted. And then after that, if you're not pushing, if you're not doing something, you're just giving the other team a chance to get back into the game. Aegis reclaimed in 30 seconds, so they will not take heed to my advice. And, ooh, we see Starladder drawing on the mini-map here. Well, double damage rune popped on the Tiny. He hands the bottle back. There's his Manta. And they'll just go back to farming. Everyone feeling very passive. Can't blame HGT, though. They don't really have a lot of options here. I mean, they can push the lanes out to about the river. Then they have that little window of time when they can press out and try and set up some kills. But all in all, there's only so much our Radiant team can do right now. DT are playing so passive. They don't have the time to move out and smoke into the dire jungle unless they push out the top lane, like all the way up to here past the river or something. So they're sort of forced to turtle and wait for DT. Of course, DT know this, and they are getting the better of the map control. We see the gold graph just about zeroed out. Experience still in Radiant's advantage, but pretty negligible at this point in the game. HGT basically just have to wait for the push from DT. Slowly but surely, Tiny will just keep pushing the wave in. I really don't know what the Dire are waiting for, though. I mean, at this point, HGT, even if they wanted to, let's say that they don't want to turtle up, they want to move out of the base, they want to set up some kills, they just simply can't. They don't really have a lot of vision right now. They've got 2 wards down, 1 outside their Ancients, 1 on the plateau. There's not much that they can do. I mean, DT, yeah, they have map control. Yeah, you're getting more farm, but what are you waiting for? I mean, you're waiting for this Alchemist to come online. Nyx Assassin, he's got 3.3k gold. I'm just not sure what they're farming towards. Ghost Scepter up on Wisp. Tiny with another 4,000 gold in the bank. There's only so much you need to take a team fight here. Storm now with 4,000 gold just sitting there. Even Nature's Prophet, he's got just about 6,000. Uh-oh, Nature's Prophet. Oh, wow, the timing. He actually still gets sheeped, but does pour it out. That was one of those, like, clutch. Wow, ridiculous timings. So, I don't know, guys. I mean, look at this. Why? I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy here, but it looks like they're going to wait for the next Roche. Unfortunately for us, it's going to be a long Roche timer. We see it's going to be 3 minutes or so. Not good. So they're just going to sit back and farm until Roche comes up. But why are they waiting for Roche? They had an Aegis and didn't do anything with it. They didn't even try to do anything with it. It's not like they pushed the base, Tiny died, and they're like, oh, okay, you know what, this isn't going to work. Yeah, we didn't force out the glyph. They literally got the Aegis, Tiny farmed, and then had to sell his drums because he didn't have inventory slots to pick up his next item. If he grabs an Aegis, he's going to be 6-slotted. He's got 4,000 gold. He can almost afford his last item, whatever it's going to be. If it's going to be a Mask of Madness, he could grab it. If it's going to be a Butterfly, he can't grab it quite yet, but he's reasonably close. So, is his third Roche that will be coming up? So, Cheese will be a reality, which makes it a very valuable Roshan, but I wonder, will they actually use these spoils from Roche? Because, you know, there comes a point in the game where Roche is not that valuable. I mean, Cheese is good, Aegis is good, but the Aegis is only good if you make use of it. If you kill Roche, yeah, the gold boost is decent, but at this point, that's not going to be make it or break it. And if you just let the Aegis expire, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I just don't know. But down bottom, Alchemist will get caught out. Look at this, the relocate into the base. That's all they were looking for. They force out the Glyph. Clockwork ports back. Glyph is down. Tiny still has the BKB available. He may just focus the buildings here. Nope, he will BKB poured out. Nyx Assassin gets picked as well. Oh, DT. Oh, DT. Now in July, he's in trouble. What the fuck?
Blown away.
That was such a weird way to handle that. I can't help but think DT don't understand how good of a position they're in right now. Let's look at this graph. They have the gold lead. Experience negligible. 10,000. Who gives a shit at this point? But their only strategy right now is just rat. Like, okay, Alchemist gets picked. He creates space. They want to find a positive. They hop in. They forced out the Glyph. That's not too bad. I mean, okay, good. You force out the Glyph, but they don't have to just rat down the base. They could take a straight-up fight. That's the thing that's really blowing my mind right now. Tiny will go Daedalus last item, so he's going to go crit once just all raw, all-out right-click damage, which I can empathize with. Crit is very good on Tiny. A good choice for a final item, but Tiny is 6-slotted now. He can't even carry the Aegis if he wants to. I mean, yes, he can get the Daedalus, but in terms of those item slots, he's full. Now oh, no. Oh, no. Tiny's going to get caught. He pops the BKB. He may survive the assault, but now Alchemist comes in. He wants to buy some time. He'll do just that. He gets caught in the cogs. Now, in comes Johnny. He'll get sheep straight away. Tiny stuck in the kinetic field. He will be the first to fall in this exchange. He'll buy back right away. BKB coming out from the Nature's Prophet. And where this fight will stop, at least for now. Cogs come. The Tiny buyback. Will he be able to grab a kill, make it worth it? Concoction connects on top of the level 25 Storm Spirit. Reasonably low on mana. Starladder actually falls. Tiny gets sheeped, but now Nyx Assassin gets picked off. A very back and forth exchange, but they do secure the kill on the Storm. Visage grabs a kill on the Alchemist. Oh my gosh, this is just the theory of mutual destruction here. Both teams going ham, but our Radiant side does get cleaned up. Now they all burn some buybacks. So now pretty much everyone who had a buyback available has burned it now. This is such a strange game. See, DT right here, like they just took a team fight straight up. They don't have to rat their way to victory. They can just push this bottom lane. They know the Glyph is down. They can secure Roche here, most likely. Radiant side has already burned a lot of buybacks, but they have the advantage on the field. They will move into Roche. It should be an easy Roche kill. They can give the Aegis to... I mean, who are they even going to give the Aegis to at this point? Everyone's got a full inventory. Like, okay, you've got Cheese. That could go the way of Wisp. But I don't know. Oh, they hop in. Roshan was actually killed by the Radiant. Who's going to get the Aegis? EO technically snatches it. She's still on the ground. First to fall will be the Storm Spirit, but Nyx goes down shortly after. Great place for the Static Storm. Tiny taking a lot of damage, but Clockwork falls. Nature's Prophet with just 50 hit points to spare. He does make it out. Wow. Roshan falls to the Wrath of the Radiant, but now Storm and Clockwork caught without buyback. 100-second cooldown, 90-second cooldown apiece. This is it. I don't think they can hold. Nyx Assassin is dead, but who cares? What do you need that Scarab for? Aegis of the Immortal is on the Wisp. I don't know where the Cheese went. Somebody picked it. Oh, no. Cheese is still on the ground. Nobody even wants it. See, they don't even have inventory slots at this point.
Radiant's middle barracks has fallen.
Mid lane of Rax fall. Bottom lane should go down shortly after. No Glyph available. DT looking like they can squeak out a win as Johnny initiates. He will focus the Wisp, the Aegis carrier. The Wisp actually falls to the Visage. Oh, he already burned the Aegis in the pit. My mistake.
Radiant's bottom barracks
But Johnny will
has
pay with his
fallen.
life. Disruptor, he's in some trouble, as is the Visage. There it is, GG. Bottom lane of Rax had
Middle
fallen.
tower is under attack.
DT squeak out a win after 59 minutes of gameplay, but I don't know. I just think DT, they had such an advantage for so long. They didn't need to drag that out as long as they did. I know the Chinese Dota, when you're ahead, just keep farming. I know the style, but they really had a big edge there for a while. Once they slowed down the momentum of the Storm, after that Storm, basically Storm's first death, that was the beginning of the turning of the tide, where they had such an edge. I mean, Storm ended that game 19-4-16. But after that death, buyback, and then into the well, he died again. They just had such an edge. That Tiny was so fat, they didn't have to rat Dota their way to victory, but they still take a win. So a long game one. We've got one game left coming up tonight. Thank you for joining us here for the day one of the Chinese qualifiers for Starladder Season 9. We've got the second match of this best of two coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Last game's coming up next. That's all I got, guys.